Hello and welcome to the Servlet tutorial part 1. This is the first tutorial of the series. Today we will learn how to download and install Eclipse IDE and Apache Tomcat server. Then we will create our own first servlet. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Thakurajan Singh. Previously I worked as a Java developer. At present, I am a corporate Java trainer. Here is a list of some of my clients and employers. It includes Simplilearn, Sapient, CPA Global, Renown Server, National Institute of Technology Jalandhar, and so on. So let's get started. Let's first set up the agenda of today's session. The topics that are to be covered are prerequisites, introduction to the servlets, setting up, adding jar files, and creating and running our first servlet. Prerequisites. Before we get started, I assume that you are familiar and quite comfortable with concepts of core Java, and I also assume that you are aware of the basic concepts of HTML. Next, we are going to have a look at the servlets. So what does a servlet basically means? Servlet is a server-side Java program. You might be aware that applets are the Java programs that run on client side, but server is a program that runs on server side. An interface. Servlet is an interface, and to create our own servlet, we will have to implement this interface. Dynamic web page. Servlet is a dynamic web page. Actually, the response that we get out of a servlet is dynamic. That is, the response is generated on the fly. If you are familiar with programming in HTML, you might have noticed that the response that we get out of an HTML page is static. What that means is, every single time you try to access an HTML page, the response you get is always the same. Then have a look at this diagram. And there are two basic components here. One is web browser, and other is web container. Browser you might have installed on your machine already, and web container is basically an application that provides runtime environment for running Java Enterprise Edition applications. The next feature of servlet is scalable. Yes, servlet programs are scalable. With time, you can add more servlet to your application. You can add more servers, you can add more hardware, and so on. So the applications that are created using servlet technologies are scalable. The next feature is platform independence. Since servlet is nothing but a Java class, so just like any Java application, servlet applications are platform independent. So in this diagram, the browser sends some request, and web container where our server is working or running gives us some response. Now we have to set up the development environment first before we can actually start coding. I have had many people approaching me saying that we want to learn web applications, but before we can start programming the web applications, the biggest problem is setting up. And unlike PHP or .NET, it is a bit tricky to set up the development environment for Java web applications. So we will set up each and everything here in this tutorial itself. So the first step is to set up Java development kit, and since you are already familiar with core Java, so I assume that you have already installed and configured Java development kit and JRE on your systems. The next is client or web browser. Since you are watching this video online, so you already have the client or the web browser. You might use Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, or Firefox, or any browser you like. Then IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Uh, Two of the most popular IDEs are NetBeans IDE and Eclipse IDE. Since I have always worked on Eclipse IDE, so we are going to use it. We will install and down. We'll install it in just a few seconds. But before that, I'd like to tell you that to run our application, we need a server. We can either use Apache Tomcat or Glassfish server, but we will go for Apache Tomcat server here. And after we are done with downloading and installing these two components, we will create a user library and add jar files that are necessary for running the servlet application. So to download the Eclipse IDE, just open up your browser and Google the term Eclipse downloads. Chances are good that the first link you get is from Eclipse IDE only. So follow the link. Here there are a couple of versions of Eclipse available here. Previous versions are Eclipse Indigo and Eclipse Helios, and we are going to download the latest stable version, which is Eclipse Kepler, Eclipse Standard 4.3.1. So we have to download this Eclipse Kepler IDE. So you can choose your platform here. Since I'm running Windows, so there are two versions available, Windows 64-bit and Windows 34-bit. I'll go for Windows 64-bit. So just click the link, and it's asking for the nearest mirror. So I'll download this mirror site from this mirror site. So just click here, and the download is about to begin. Before recording this video, I already downloaded and extracted the Eclipse IDE, so I'll cancel it. The next thing we have to download is our web server, which is Apache Tomcat. The latest stable version is Apache Tomcat 7. So let's Google it. Apache Tomcat 7 download. Follow this link, tomcat.apache.org, download. As you can see, a couple of variations are here, and we have to download the core. So again, there are a couple of variations here. Again, you can choose as per your architecture of your operating system. So I'll go for this 64-bit Windows zip. So I have both of these applications downloaded here with me. So I have extracted them. So these are the two folders that we have to work on. So first of all, I would like to tell you that the installation is quite straightforward. I mean, you do not have to run an installer here. You can directly run both of these applications. So just open your IDEs folder. Inside Eclipse, there is a file, eclipse.exe. So just start it by double clicking. Since this is the very first time we are using the Eclipse, so it will take a couple of seconds to get started. Okay, before it gets started, I'd like to tell you that after setting up this, we will have to create user library and add jar files. What that means is, to run any servlet application, we need to have some jar files in our library folder. So in the latest versions of this Tomcat server, the libraries are already available, so we do not have to add the libraries. Okay, so the IDE has responded and it is asking for the default workspace. This is where our files are going to be saved. So we'll just give OK here. So chances are good that we do not have to add the libraries inside the Tomcat server, but still, if there is something wrong, like you are using some previous version of Tomcat that is already installed on your computer, then I'll show you how to create our own library and add the jar files. Okay, so to create an application, we first need to add a server. Here it is saying that no servers are available. Click this link to create a new server. So just click this link. Here it is asking for the type of server that we want, so we are going to use Apache server. So select it, and as we have downloaded the latest version, so we will choose Tomcat version 7.0. Next. And it is asking for the Tomcat installation directory. So we will browse here, and since we have the folder on our desktop, so just go to the desktop. Here inside the downloads, here is the Apache Tomcat folder. We have to give the path till this directory, Apache Tomcat 7.0.50. Do not choose bin, otherwise it will not work. So just choose Apache Tomcat 7.0.50. Click OK. Next, and give a finish here. So we have already installed the IDE and configured our server for that. Next, what we need to do is to create our actual servlet. So just go to the file. Yes, one more thing, if you are seeing some different perspective here, you can change your perspective from here. Java might be there by default on your IDE, so if it is the case, you can check it, change it, and you are supposed to be in this Java EE perspective. Next, file, new. Since Servlet provide dynamic response, so we are going to choose dynamic web project. It is asking for the project name, so let's give it a name. Servlet application, and you can change the location from here. And the dynamic web module version is the version of JEE that we are using, so let it be 3.0 only. We can choose some previous versions also, but it is always recommended to use the latest available version. Click next, next, and finish. So we have this application here. If we explore inside this Java resources, as you can see, inside this src folder there is no other folder, so we will create our packages here. And when we explore the libraries, here is the Apache Tomcat library, and inside this you can see Servlet API jar. This is already shipped with our server, so we don't need to add the jar files. So just right click here on your project's name, new servlet. It is asking for the Java package name. I'll give here Arjun, and then the class name. So let it be first servlet. Next, it is asking for the name, so it is first servlet. The description is optional. Something that is important here is the URL mapping. It can be changed by clicking the edit button. What does that mean is whenever you would like to access this servlet from your application using the web browser, you will have to supply this address in your URL to access this particular servlet. It can be changed, but for the time being I'll leave it. Next, it is asking what do we want. So we will take doGet or doPost method, but for the time being we will just take this doGet method. Just don't panic about these methods, because our agenda is just to download and install the applications and to check that everything is set up properly. So I'll explain these in the next subsequent tutorials. Give a finish here. So this is what we have got. By default the IDE has generated this code for us. So first thing is the package name. Next, it has automatically inserted these imports that we need to run our servlet. Then this line, web servlet annotation. This is actually an annotation which says that this is going to be a web servlet. Even if we have mentioned it in the next line that this our class first servlet is going to extend HTTP servlet, what that means is our class that we have just created will act like a servlet because we have extended this HTTP servlet class. But still after servlet version 3 there is a provision of annotation. So by using this web servlet annotation, we can mention that this class will be a servlet and its URL pattern will be first servlet. And the next line is private static final long serial version ID. So this line is basically optional, it's not mandatory here, and it is used for some serialization purposes that we will learn in the subsequent tutorials. Next is the constructor of our class first servlet, and the last thing is doGet method. So what does this method do? You might be aware of the concept that HTTP protocol support some of the methods. Get and post methods are supported by the HTTP protocol. So to handle get request we use doGet method, and to handle post requests we use doPost method. So what does this method do? It is void, doesn't return anything, and it takes two arguments. One is of type HTTP servlet request and another is of type HTTP servlet response, and then it throws servlet and input output exceptions. And this is auto generated stub, so just delete it. So to get any output from the server, we need to use response objects method print writer. So just write response dot get writer. Notice something, you can always use the autocomplete feature of the IDE. For that what we need to do is just to type 2 or 3 letters, and then by doing a control space it will automatically insert it. So this get writer method, what it does is it returns an object of type print writer. So to hold this we will have to write the class print writer, control space here, print writer, and the object of print writer pw. Okay, so it the get writer methods returns an object that we have stored in our pw object. Next, pw dot print, this will print anything that we want on our web browser. So let's print happy learning. Okay, done. So let's run this application. To run, what we need to do is to run as. Here, since it is not an ordinary server application or an applet, so we will have to run it on server, run on server. Okay, I would like to save the changes. Select this server. Next, this is our application. Give a finish here. So the ID is starting a web browser so that we can view the output. Here it is showing this HTTP status 404 error because we did not specify the URL of our servlet here. So what we can do is, since our URL pattern is /first servlet, so just write /first servlet and enter here, and here is the output, happy learning. So let's get back to the servlet. Even if you don't understand any of these concepts, they will be covered in the subsequent tutorials, so don't panic. Our aim was just to check that we have set up everything properly and everything is working the way we wanted it to. So let's get back to the slides. Okay, we have created our project, then we have created the servlet, and this is something that we need to write in our URL. The first thing that we need to write is the protocol, which is obviously http://localhost. Localhost, or if your servlet is running on some remote machine, that then instead of using this localhost, you have to write the IP address of that particular machine, followed by the port number. We can change the port number, but we have set it to the default here. Then the name of the application, followed by the name of the servlet. Not exactly the name of the servlet, but the URL pattern of the servlet. So after this, what's next? In the next tutorial, we will learn about the get and post methods of the HTTP protocol. Then we will understand the working of do get and do post methods of HTTP servlet, and obviously we will discuss the difference between these two methods, because they are almost the same type of work is getting done by both the methods. So we'll try to understand the difference between them. So that's it, and thank you for watching. Kindly provide me with feedback by writing your comments, and I have recorded this video just to help you out, and if you think that it can be further improved, or if you are happy with the work, then kindly let me know, because this in turn will help me to help others. So kindly help me and have a happy learning experience.